So you may be looking at the title of this video thinking, wait, Boba, what? First Swamp Thing was cancelled, now a freaking Swamp Thing movie after the whole confusement of like the tax issue, was it creative differences and stuff like that? Well, yeah. There's now articles going online about how there might be a Swamp Thing movie, so we're going to get down into the nitty-gritty details of all of this in today's video. How's it going, Swamp Things? Welcome to a brand new Swamp Thing video. I guess this is kind of, yeah, this is to do with the DC Universe show, but it's also mixed in with now possible like rumors surrounding a movie with conflicting kind of reporting going on. I do want to get it clear right off the bat. This is in such the infancy of like being talked about that there isn't really anything of substance properly to this, but there's been quite a few of you guys asking me what the heck's going on with it, especially with all the drama recently surrounding how Swamp Thing got cancelled just like in its first week or whatever of actually, you know, being released on DC Universe. It just kind of makes sense that I kind of get weigh in on my opinion on this and give you guys, I was about to say the facts of what we know, but like what is out there right now at least. So let me just get that out of the way. I'm not saying there's going to be a Swamp Thing movie, like period. I'm not saying that. But there might be. But just quickly before I get into the reports and what they're saying, or where the hell this is even coming from, I am away this Friday, guys, so I probably won't be able to get my Swamp Thing review up. I will try and get it up over the weekend, but no promises. But I'll try my best. Other than that, Swamp Thing review is going to be a little bit dodgy for the next couple of weeks, but as I said, got to try my best. Let's see what happens. At very worst case scenario, I'm going to do a live stream. But let's get into this, guys. So this first came about from apparently We Got This Covered. Now, I am not necessarily throwing any shade here. It seems from at least a lot of people I've spoken to that they are not necessarily a reputable outlet to talk about stuff. I'm not really going to say much more than that because I've heard much worse things, but they actually did say that there might be a Swamp Thing movie. Which is why some people were like writing it off straight away as if it's a real thing, like saying, no, it's just not, We Got This Covered. It's not necessarily true. Not saying that they never get things true, but you kind of get what I mean from the vibe of what a lot of people are saying about that outlet. But then Bloody Disgusting came out with this article that you're seeing on screen right now. And they say there's a chance we'll get a Swamp Thing movie. So this is where things are like, hey, okay, so now, like, so We Got This Covered said it. Are they right? Especially if Bloody Disgusting is verifying it. And then I'll get into even more stuff from people I look at on Twitter who get lots of scoops who I've spoken about before with DC Universe shows. So late horror legend Wes Craven directed the 1982 adaptation of Swamp Thing based on the Vertigo/DC Comics character on the same name created by Len Wein and Bernie Wrightson. A sequel would be released in 1989. 30 years later, we get a new television series from DC, Warner Brothers, and James Wan's Atomic Monster, even with the near full support of the comic book film critic community, which we're all very fully aware of. The show was cancelled just a week into its first season. While we won't be able to get into the details of it all, it's not like DC Universe or the higher ups have given us any clarification to that apart from what I've tried to dig into and a couple of, you know, other people out there trying to dig into what the heck's really happened, which is essentially, yeah, well, just watch that video in the cards above. I'm not going to get into it here. It left a lot of people with a bad taste in their mouths. Well, yeah, hell yeah. Even with the season being released in full, it feels like we've been robbed of a Swamp Thing resurrection way too soon. Thankfully, there's chatter that this could flip into something positive, maybe even a full-length feature film based on the iconic DC character. We Got This Covered is reporting that Warner Brothers may develop a Swamp Thing film. And I guess this following bit is a quote from We Got This Covered saying, the initial goodwill around the DC Universe series and the backlash against the cancellation seems to have inspired the studio to consider doing something with the character on the big screen. And end of quote. So they've been told that this wouldn't be a continuation of the show, however, and would feature a whole new cast. They also note that producer James Wan would be involved. And I'll get onto my thoughts with stuff like this specifically in a second. This is where it gets interesting. Bloody Disgusting, the website I'm reading this from, can confirm the validity of their report and the addition that it would be a horror movie, although it should be stressed that this report is astoundingly premature, which is also why I said, like, at the beginning, this could just be maybe at its very conception, like, just talks. If there's anything real to this, it could just be them talking about it, since there's a big uproar about it, whatever. You get the gist. As of this writing, it is just internal chatter. That's what they're saying. Well, yeah, I didn't even read that bit, and that's what they're saying. With that said, there were creative differences behind the development of the DC Universe Swamp Thing series, as it was initially developed as a straight-up horror show and eventually transformed into a more procedural thriller. This is true, this is factual. Warner Brothers taking the character and doing their own thing without that of WBTV's involvement is how we'll actually get something special, something the character deserves after 30 years, especially if Conjuring Universe producer James Wan puts his stamp on it. So, just before I get into my opinions on the Swamp Thing film, would I like to see it? What are my thoughts of this anyway? You guys know I've referenced Thomas Polito in a couple of, videos before, whether he's got a scoop on something coming in the DC Universe show. It's basically interesting to see him tweet the other day as well, saying regarding the Swamp Thing movie, one source, I'm guessing his own sources, hasn't heard anything, I guess, regarding Bloody Disgusting or We Got This Covered's article. And the other backed up Bloody Disgusting, which, backed up We Got This Covered. So he's saying, until a writer is announced, it may as well not be happening. Let's see where this goes. So essentially here, guys, you kind of get the picture. For all we know, this could be basically nothing. At its very earliest, it could be something, but just chatter. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. The show got cancelled. Maybe, and this is what I wanted to get onto in this video, because I do see a movie of Swamp Thing being extremely successful. That could be very, very cool. Now, I don't want you guys to get the wrong idea. I would have loved to have seen this Swamp Thing's TV show to continue. If I had a choice, I would press that button within a heartbeat and expel the movie from even being on the table, or even if it turned into a couple of movies, given the fact that they could, really make a trilogy out of Swamp Thing if it was successful enough with like The Rot, Antoine Arcane, and all of that kind of stuff. Imagine if it led up to a Justice League Dark thing, like what they were saying with how the TV show had plans for that potentially, which I might do a whole other video about, and you might be hearing this for the first time. But yeah, they were actually thinking, if this show's successful, which it is, even though it was cancelled, it's still, very popular amongst fans, they could have got to Justice League Dark. I'm having an aneurysm right now thinking about that, because it's so painful knowing that could have happened. At the end of the day, guys, you know how I feel about the BS stuff going on behind the scenes with the Swamp Thing TV show. There's a whole video about me talking about that. I'm not going to rehash it all here. But strictly in terms of this movie, let's just assume it's true for the following sentences. I would rather something happen with Swamp Thing than just the TV show cancelled and then this character, that was it for the next, 7 to 12 years until somebody comes around and maybe actually does make a movie. If that's going to happen soon, I'm okay with that. I get there's going to be maybe some comments saying, no, if they should bring it back to TV show. I'm all for that, first and foremost. If they could revive it somehow, yes, that. But assuming that's never going to happen, and assuming, James Wan's stamp, it kind of makes sense. Let's say, as I said, assuming this is true, if it was true, James Wan still being involved makes sense, giving the cancellation and his interest in it, is like, screw it, if I can still continue Swamp Thing in one way or another, and I can make it into a horror movie, because they initially wanted it to be a freaking horror show, like horror, then why not let James Wan's vision come true with that? By the way, guys, way too early to tell. This is literally just chatter, and you can, as people are saying, boil it down to nothing happening until you hear something even further. But I just thought it would be interesting covering this anyway. As you know, I'm very passionate about the DC Universe, very passionate about Swamp Thing and its shady cancellation, which there is still not an official piece of word. And I know I've given it to you guys through the behind the scenes wording and how that is essentially true. And as it said in that article right there, just echoing what we've all found out, that there was a load of BS, stuff going out there which wasn't true with the cancellation. They should have come out with something by now. And there's just other things since here going up in the weeks following the show's cancellation, of how Derek Mears went on Collider to talk about its cancellation. And he's extremely positive. Derek Mears is, by the way, is a guy under the Swamp Thing suit. It's just really infuriating to see him explain that, we still don't know, like, officially. Now, yes, I'm not saying he's lying, but I'm just saying, yes, it's possible that he might low-key know, like, real reasons, but contractually he can't really, like, speak about it, and, like, blah, 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 blah. That kind of stuff makes sense, but I trust him when he says, like, I may have a good idea, like, he might be thinking this, I may have a good idea as to why it was cancelled, but other than that, there's no big cheese who's walked in saying, look, we're really sorry, this is specifically why it happened. What? That's just dreadful. That really is. But anyway, guys, I'm going to end the video here now. I've been going on way longer than what I thought. I say that every video at the minute. Let me know your thoughts on if there was ever to be a Swamp Thing movie based on this recent chattering on the internet. What would you make of that? Would you be up for it? As I said, do you echo what I feel? Like, Swamp Thing's gone now. If it's not going to get revived, why not bring us a fully fledged Swamp Thing movie? Maybe under the Elseworlds label of the DC cinematic universe, if you will, like they're doing with Joaquin Phoenix's or Todd Phillips' Joker movie. You know, I'd dig that. Or, heck, put him into the DCEU, but I don't see them doing that. I feel like they would more go with the Worlds of DC Elseworlds approach. But thank you guys so much for watching. Like this video if you did enjoy it. Once again, gonna have difficulty reviewing Swamp Thing in the next couple of weeks, but just bear with me. At the very least, I'll keep you guys updated on Twitter if I'm gonna do a live stream reaction to the episode instead, if I just can't edit a review out there. But that is it. So thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope you have a lovely rest of your day, and I'll see you Swamp Things in the next video. Goodbye.